and you get Hong Kong. You combine them with English common law, you get the Free Republic of China in Taiwan. They're amazing people. Or you get all the success stories here in the United States of America and in Europe. I want to bring on now Dr. Bradley Thayer. I don't have my copy of Dr. Thayer's book's upstairs. Dr. Thayer is author of a great new book. He knew Andy Marshall. Andy Marshall was the head of the Net Assessment Group over the Pentagon, an extraordinary individual. Dr. Thayer, thank you very much for joining us on our special edition of Descent into Hell, Life of the Chinese under the Chinese Communist Party.
Good morning, Steve. Great to be with you.
Listen, you were the first to kind of put the hand on this thing as a biological Chernobyl. And we've been saying now for weeks and weeks and weeks, forget the fact that they might have a P4 lab, that they were working on something, and they might have slipped out as a vaccine. That's all going to be adjudicated later. But that certainly this biological Chernobyl came at least from their incompetence and their ability to suppress the information. The question everybody asks is, how could any government, how could any system understand what was going to happen to the people of Wuhan and allow that to happen? How does the CCP actually think about the Chinese people?
Well, obviously the outbreak and then the pandemic really reveals, of course, their callousness and the recklessness of the Communist Party of China. The people for the Communist Party of China are, to a large degree, going to be expendable. And they're going to be the total and complete disregard that the Communist Party of China has for human life and the dignity of the Chinese people. All are there to be sacrificed so that the CCP can advance its goals and that it can stay in power, which is its entire reason for being, is to keep control of that great civilization and great state that is China.
How complicit is the Western elites? You know, we've got Dr. Spalding's book. I know your book is amazing. Dr. Spalding's book talks about this came about because of the support by the American elites. How have the American elites, is that a fair charge? I mean, are we being out of line by saying that the American financial, business, and cultural elites essentially support a totalitarian dictatorship that lives off the ability to oppress their own people?
Not at all, Steve. I think that the muse of history is Cleo, right? And she's not going to be kind when she renders her judgment on the American strategists and American financiers and decision makers. The U.S. has made the biggest grand strategic mistake it ever made by allowing China and supporting allowing China into the economic ecosystem and the political ecosystem of the West, which has strengthened it, obviously, and secured its legitimacy, and made it the rival, the true peer competitor that China now is for the United States. So there's going to have to be a reckoning. There's going to have to be an accounting of individuals who allowed this to happen in the West, who allowed China in, supported it, sustained it, even when we recognize that its rule, the danger of the CCP to the Chinese people, to the American people, and to the rest of the world, was quite clear. But nonetheless, this continued for a generation. It was a fundamental mistake, and we're going to rue the day that we allowed these individuals to undertake these decisions, and allowing China to essentially become our rival with our great assistance.
Dr. Thayer, we got about a minute left, but here's what people don't understand. You know, Kennedy, I think, was the guy that wrote a book before World War II called Why England Slept. People understand that in the 1930s, people were confused because of the Depression. They didn't really understand until later the rise of Hitler and Mussolini and these fascist powers, Tojo, in that crowd in Japan. But why did it happen here? Why did it happen in a nation that prides itself on being so free, that we've got the freest media in the world? How did it happen in the United States?
I think it happened for three reasons. One, because the American elite and Western elite broadly were profiting from it prodigiously. Secondly, they thought there was a general sense in the West that competition was over. We were at the end of history moment, and that was going to be sustained in perpetuity. Ideological conflict was over. Steve, as you recall those days, right? The Soviet Union had been defeated. and we weren't going to face rivals anymore. In fact, we could cooperate. And then third was the duplicity of the Communist Party of China and their genius, really, at playing us and allowing really what we valued and how Western elites could be bought off and could be co-opted. Technology could be siphoned off and used to advance their own aims, while our willful blindingness to their abuses of the Chinese people was simply outrageous. So, but there's hope that may change. I mean, you may have seen the essay in February by Zhen, the real estate tycoon, and it goes by the nickname Big Cannon Zen. Right? He wrote that essay. He's now been arrested, of course, and is going to face trial. But he wrote that great essay in February. The lives of the people are ruined by the virus and a seriously sick system. So we can see that here, Big Cannon Zen is really a recognition of the Chinese elite are recognizing that Xi Jinping's rule is a disastrous regime. It's going to lead China back to a Maoist abyss. And so what we need to do is reach out to these individuals and to aid them to the extent that we're going to be able to. And principally there, by, as you observed at the beginning of the broadcast, the breaking down the firewall, allowing the Chinese to get free information.
Dr. Thayer, we got to bounce. Thank you very much. We're going to link up to the site. We'll be back in a moment.
I'm Nick Bolton, and these days...
Hey there.
Hey there. It seems everybody has a pair of tactical sunglasses.
Good morning.
Morning. But what if you already wear glasses? Then you need these flip-up tack glasses. These new glasses fit right over your existing eyewear to give you all the benefits of our tack glasses while you comfortably wear your regular glasses. And watch this. When you don't need them, the lenses flip up and out of the way. Then snap right back into place when it gets bright again. Plus, like all tack glasses, flip-up tack glasses feature Bell & Howell light filtering technology that makes invisible objects suddenly become visible. But don't take my word for it. Check out what these people had to say. Take a look at the screen and tell me what you see.
Nothing. Just blank.
Nothing. There's nothing there.
Absolutely nothing.
Flip down those tack glasses and look again.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. There was nothing, and then it just appears an American eagle. It's absolutely insane.
Can you read that fine print on the bottom right there?
Land of the free and home of the brave. God bless America.
Whether you're on the trail or on the golf course, on the water, or on the slopes. With flip-up tack glasses, you'll always see clearly without any glare. There's just nothing like them on the market today. Here you go, buddy.
Thanks, Nick.
Act now to get your flip-up tack glasses for just $19.99, and we'll even ship them to you free. Only tack glasses feature the precision and quality of genuine Bell & Howell lenses, and they're backed by our lifetime guarantee. But wait, order today and you can get a second pair. Just pay a separate fee. You get it all, plus free shipping. Here's how to order.
To get your flip-up tack glasses for only $19.99 with free shipping, call 1-800-284-4127. That's 1-800-284-4127, or visit us online at flipupglasses.com. That's 1-800-284-4127, or visit us at flipupglasses.com. Call or log on now.
I'm Nick Bolton, and these days...
Hey there.
Hey there. It seems everybody has a pair of tactical sunglasses.
Good morning.
Morning. But what if you already wear glasses? Then you need these flip-up tack glasses. These new glasses fit right over your existing eyewear to give you all the benefits of our tack glasses while you comfortably wear your regular glasses. Plus, like all tack glasses, flip-up tack glasses feature Bell & Howell light filtering technology that makes invisible objects suddenly become visible. There's just nothing like them on the market today. Here you go, buddy.
Thanks, Nick.
Act now to get your flip-up tack glasses for just $19.99, and we'll even ship them to you free. But wait, order today and you can get a second pair. Just pay a separate fee. Here's how to order.
Call 1-800-284-4127 or go to flipupglasses.com. That's 1-800-284-4127 or order online at flipupglasses.com.
Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back to War Room Pandemic. This is a special. It's Holy Saturday, the 11th of April, year of our Lord 2020, and we are doing Descent into Hell, Life of the Chinese People under the Chinese Communist Party. Remember, there's only 90 million communists in China, and they enslave over 1.4 billion people, and of the 90 million, only about 1,000 count. They're the ones that suck up all the material wealth, tons of billionaires in that crowd. All bad actors. The most evil people on earth is the Chinese Communist Party. The reason you're in your house this weekend, you can't go to church, the reason you don't have a job, the reason you don't have a pension fund, the reason that you may have known people that are dead. In my hometown, there's a old age home. I think 39 people have died because of this. It's in Richmond, Virginia. It's just outrageous. It's outrageous what the Chinese Communist Party has allowed to happen. And I'll bring in Bill Gertz from the Washington Times. Bill, like Dr. Thayer, they are two of the smartest analysts of what's going on in China. His columns are must-reads. I consider him a colleague and a dear friend. He's a true brother, and I got to tell you, he's a patriot, and his love for the Chinese people and China is unbounded. Bill, thank you very much for joining me today and taking the time away on Holy Saturday to join us.
Thanks, Steve. Good to be on the show.
So Dr. Thayer just ended with a tee-up for you on your new column about Big Cannon. Tell us about this Chinese dissident billionaire in China, what he said, and why he's now in a prison.
Yeah, I've been following this guy for a number of years. In fact, I was going to write a section about him in my book, Deceiving the Sky, but it got cut for space. So this was an opportunity for me to write it up. He's an interesting character in that he represents a certain faction within the senior ranks of the party leadership. His name is Ren Zhiqiang. And in 2016, he criticized the lack of a free and open press. Now, this guy's a communist. Let's not be fooled. He was a real estate tycoon. And before Trump was president, they considered him the Chinese Donald Trump over there. He had powerful supporters in the Politburo Standing Committee. That's the 7-member collective dictatorship that rules China. And he was protected. His good friend is Wang Qishan, who's now the vice president, no longer on the standing committee, but still a very powerful figure. So Ren's detention, they announced this week that he is now under investigation for unspecified illegal activities, which means that he's got a one-way ticket to the Chinese gulag. But, like I said, the experts I've talked to say that this is a clear indication of mounting opposition to the rule of Xi Jinping. Now, whether or not there are powerful enough figures to oust Xi is another question, but clearly there is mounting evidence that all is not well in Zhongnan High.
Look, you've been a student of this for many, many decades, and you're well-sourced and you break a number of stories. Talk to us. We had you on the very first episode of this show, and of course, the Washington Post lit you up a couple of days later. This is Bill Gertz, crazy conspiracy theory. Bill Gertz is a wingnut. Bill Gertz is a nut. All of that. But let's go back to it, because the Epoch Times, the great people at the Epoch Times, had this magnificent documentary out by Joshua Phillips about the origins of the virus. Talk to us about your latest reporting on this.
Sure. And I'll also tease the fact that my publisher, Encounter Books, is going very soon to be publishing a monograph, an ebook on the Wuhan coronavirus and how the Chinese covered it up. So stay tuned for that. But I had a column this week, my Inside the Ring column in the Washington Times, talks about the advancement of the lab escape theory. As I said, as little as a month ago, both the Washington Post and the New York Times were ridiculing anyone who suggested that it was something other than a jump from a bat to some intermediary animal and then onto humans. That is the Wuhan virus. And there's clearly evidence now that because of the extensive research that was being done on these bat coronaviruses, and this outbreak that we're now suffering through is caused by a bat coronavirus. The Chinese have not been forthcoming. They've lied. They've deceived, and you've been doing a great job highlighting that. Now we've got to get to the bottom of it, because we're not going to solve this problem until we do get to the bottom of it.
And as the Chinese Communist Party, they put out today, the Global Times put out today a timeline of this in conjunction with or about the World Health Organization, and they skipped the 14 January tweet where the World Health Organization said, hey, there's no human-to-human transmission, as the CCP's senior health ministers are telling us. Talk to us about the World Health Organization and these entities that the Chinese Communist Party have effectively taken over.
Yeah, this was a part of a long-term strategy by the party going back to 2003 when they had the SARS outbreak. China, then the Communist Party, decided that they were going to become what they call the world health power. And so they've infiltrated a number of organizations. Peter Navarro just this week highlighted the fact that out of 15 UN organizations, the Chinese now control 5, one of which is the World Health Organization. The leader, Dr. Tedros, as you said, is truly a running dog of the party. He basically lied. You mentioned January 14th. The statement, I have a copy of the World Health Organization statement of January 12th, in which they say there was no, based on evidence from China, there is no indication of human-to-human transmission. This is the crux of the crimes committed by the Communist Party of China, and with the support of the World Health Organization.
Bill, I want to thank you. We'll link to all your stuff in the Washington Times. Do you have an idea, just real quickly, when the publication of this from Encounter Press, who did your book, when they're going to put out the monograph from you?
It could be out this week, this coming week. We'll definitely come back for that.
We'll definitely have you back. The audience loves you, so. Bill Gertz. And I got to tell you, what people don't understand is the grief that Bill Gertz gets from the mainstream media, the powers that be, attacked relentlessly every day. You're not just an American patriot. You're a hero to the American people, and you're a hero to the Chinese people as you work for their freedom. So, Gertz, you hang in there.
Thank you.
Bill Gertz of the Washington Times, and I got to tell you, if you knew what this guy was under daily in his life and how they have tried to destroy this guy, he is an American hero. And like Thayer said, Cleo, the goddess of history, it's all going to come out. It's all going to come out. All you guys that took money, all you guys are the running dogs. You're all running dogs that support the Chinese Communist Party. It's all coming out. It's all coming out, and your children or grandchildren are going to have to live with your crimes because you're an accomplice to one of the nastiest, most brutal dictatorships in the history of mankind. And guys like Bill Gertz are going to come in as heroes. What do they call lower rail on top eventually?
Steve, you know you love to touch history. I just recognized that Lincoln died on Holy Saturday. And
Yes.
Appomattox occurred on Palm Sunday. And it's just a reminder that all the great movements in history surround human freedom, and that's what we're seeking for the Chinese people.
That was quite brilliant, Jack. Thank you. Very touching here on Holy Saturday, Descent into Hell. Now I want to bring on a very special guest, Salih Hujir. He is the Prime Minister in exile of the East Turkestan movement. This is the group that represents many of the Uyghurs that are basically imprisoned in Western China. Salih, thank you very much for joining us today on Descent into Hell, Life of the Chinese People under the Chinese Communist Party.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Bannon.
Tell us for a second, the Uyghurs, here's what I don't understand about the Uyghur situation, is that the Uyghurs are practicing Muslims, they practice their faith, they are in concentration camps, they're tortured, and you can go into that. But why is it I don't see an uprising in the Muslim world of support for the Uyghurs? And when there's, many of these groups like CARE and others jump on people in the West immediately when they're pointing out radical Islamic jihad and the problems that's causing for Muslims everywhere, Muslims in the West, Muslims in the Gulf, Muslims throughout the world. But when you have this obvious concentration camps and suppression and really murder of the Muslim people in China, there's crickets. Why is there something here I'm missing?
Well, the Chinese government, the Chinese Communist Party has effectively, bought the silence of the Muslim world. Muslim leaders have, received billions of dollars in loans or even aid from the Chinese government. So they're really reluctant to speak out for the oppression, against the oppression of Uyghurs and other Turkish peoples in East Turkestan.
Can you tell us what life is like on a daily basis for the Uyghurs in Western China?
So for the Uyghurs in East Turkestan, over 3 million of them are currently in concentration camps, with a couple million more in prisons and labor camps. Aside for those in the prisons and the labor camps and the concentration camps, people on the outside live in constant surveillance. Every 500 meters, there's police checkpoints. Your phone has an app installed that monitors every little thing that is happening in the phone, so you have to be very careful. People are no longer able to even say, the traditional Islamic greetings, Assalamu alaikum, which means peace be upon you, with one another. They can obviously not talk about politics. Talking to people overseas is viewed as a crime. It's viewed as terrorism.
Real quickly, we got about 30 seconds left, and we have a tough time hearing. But tell us, there are concentration camps and prison camps in East Turkestan. I just want you to make sure that you're clear. Do you consider these concentration camps and prison camps?
Yes, there are concentration camps for so-called re-education, and then there are the prisons, which are for people that have been sentenced anywhere from 15 to life in prison, depending on the severity of the bogus crimes that they're charged with.
Salih, thank you very much. We're going to get up your all your Twitter handles and everything like that so people can get more access to your writings and more access to your beliefs. He's the Prime Minister in exile of the East Turkestan movement, Salih Hujir. Thank you very much for joining us today on War and Pandemic, Descent into Hell. I want to thank you, sir. We're going to make sure you get access to that. We'll be back with more Monahan in a moment.
Pain, swelling, stiffness. When your hands hurt, you can't function. Until now. Introducing the new Copperfit compression gloves with Sure Grip technology to give you more power, more control, and more agility than ever. Our most advanced copper-infused compression fabric woven into an ultra-lightweight performance glove that fits like a second skin to support relief and recovery of sore muscles and painful joint stiffness. And new Sure Grip bands built in to provide a strong, non-slip grip for more power and control.
You need total control of your hands when you're doing anything with construction. Your hands are your livelihood. The Copperfit gloves are great. The grip is outstanding here with these different ribs. It makes my hand a lot more usable. It just feels like you're just ready to start the job.
The gloves have been a game changer for me. They help with flexibility and pain and soreness. They allow me to do my job even better.
Breathable wicking fabric with an open finger design for full range of motion, feel, and control.
They relieve my pain. When I grab something, I'm not in pain. The support or whatever magic these things do, I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter to me what it is. It works.
I get a lot of pain, and it can make it difficult to do the smallest thing. While I'm wearing this, I do not have any pain. I can use it on the keyboard. I can use my phone. I drive with it. I sleep with it. I love this glove.
The new Copperfit compression gloves with Sure Grip technology. Relief from painful muscle and joint soreness. Guaranteed or your money back. Call 1-800-984-5571 or on the web at getcopperfitgloves.com for only $19.99. Order right now and your shipping is free.
I tried it. I use it. I know it works.
Copperfit gloves definitely just make my life better.
I've used Copperfit before. This has helped my hands so much. These things work.
Feel better with copper-infused compression. Ask for it by name. Copperfit compression gloves.
This is Kate.
Hey.
She takes 2 prescriptions. Kate's son Jack takes 1 too. Kate works hard and thought she had good insurance. But she still pays too much. That's no good. So Kate downloaded the GoodRx app. Now she can compare prescription prices to find the best discounts. She even beats her insurance price. Good for you, Kate. Good for you. GoodRx. Stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today.
America's Voice is a platform that brings you the voice of America. Sound off, speak up, and be heard.
And the number one thing that we can all do is vote. That's why you guys have to download the app, America's Voice News.
Free speech, the Second Amendment, safe borders.
We come here to be free.
It's your voice. It's my voice. It's America's Voice. Join the America's Voice revolution.
Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back to We're in Pandemic, Descent into Hell, Life of the Chinese People and the Chinese Communist Party, now joined by Kyle Obert. Kyle is a human rights activist and very close to the whole folks in East Turkestan, the Uyghurs. We just had Salih Houdir on, the prime minister in exile of one of the movements of East Turkestan. Was pretty blunt about the concentration camps and the prison camps. So, Kyle, you work as a freedom fighter and a human rights activist with these folks all the time. How bad is life in China for the Uyghurs?
I mean, it is unimaginable what they are going through. The level of surveillance, it can only be described as completely Orwellian. These people cannot leave their homes without being surveilled by, CCTV cameras as they're walking down the street. There are checkpoints every couple dozen meters that they have to go through. They can't even own a knife. They can only own one knife, and it has to be chained to the wall of their kitchen, right? I mean, it is really absurd. They are not allowed to practice their faith in any way. They can't even grow a beard. I mean, they can't even say hello in their own language. And
so, why is the Muslim world? Why is the Muslim world of the United Nations? Are you saying there really are concentration camps and there really are labor camps in East Turkestan?
Oh, absolutely. I've seen the satellite imagery myself. I've actually helped identify many of these facilities. Yes, there are absolutely concentration camps. According to the U.S. Department of Defense, according to Randy Schreiber last year, he said there were 3 million people or more in these concentration camps. So
Randy Schreiber being at the time a deputy assistant or deputy secretary of defense. Randy Schreiber from the site 2049. He was a member of President Trump's government when he said that. Correct?
He was. Yeah. So I mean, this isn't just the Uyghur guy or the human rights guy saying this. This is the U.S. government, and it's even the United Nations that has said this. However, what's happened in the past week, which is really a terrible, terrible blow to human rights, and it's really symbolic of what's going on throughout the entire UN, is China has just been appointed to the UN Human Rights Council. And now they are going to have the ability to select the investigators that investigate human rights abuses, right? This is like appointing a pyromaniac to be the town fire chief, okay? We talk about the World Health Organization and Tedros, and it's not just that. I mean, this is across the board. The entire UN is under attack. The entire rules-based international order is under attack. I would say the entire free world is under attack. If we value human rights at all, the entire free world has to come together to push back on China.
But why is it all the liberals? Why are all the progressives, everybody that supports the UN and loves the UN? And look, I'm no fan of it, but hey, it is what it is. But all the people that love it and all the people that support it, where are their voices about the Chinese Communist Party, which is a brutal dictatorship over their own people, as we've shown in our little show in the last hour and a half? Where are their voices to confront the United Nations and to confront the Chinese Communist Party? Where are their voices?
I mean, that's a good question, man. Aside from Nancy Pelosi, who's been really strong on the Tibet issue for decades, I mean, you don't see Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez going out there and talking about Uyghurs. I don't know where they're missing in action. I don't know where these people are. It's really frustrating because it's not just religious people in China who are facing these human rights abuses. There are people who presumably the left would care about as well. You've got women, and women in China. The Me Too movement exploded over there last year. You've got environmentalists being thrown into jail. You've got labor activists also being thrown into jail for trying to unionize, right? To demand better conditions. You've got LGBT people who are being subjected to shock therapy. You've got socialists who are trying to reform the party from within to make it more socialist, and they're throwing them in jail. So you would think that the left would actually care about these people. And, for some reason, I don't know. I guess Trump right now is the shiny object, and they can't see past that. And that's a real problem, because China is a much bigger problem than anything else in the world right now, and they don't seem to get that.
Kyle, how do people get access? You've got a Twitter handle. How do you get access to your thinking and your writing?
Yeah, people can follow me on Twitter at Real Kyle Olbert, and that's really the best way. Yep.
Kyle, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for being a fighter for the little guy over in China. It's great. You're a great American patriot and a great friend to the Chinese people. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Steve. Yep.
Now I want to bring in, very honored to bring in another veteran of this war for freedom for the Chinese people. In this regard, this is a defender of the Tibetan Buddhists and the Tibetan Buddhist movement. She's a strong, I would say, spiritual leader of the Students for a Free Tibet. There's probably one of the rowdiest groups out there about freedom. It's Mara Monahan, the daughter of the beloved and honored Senator Daniel Patrick Monahan, who was ambassador to India many, many decades ago, where Mara was able to see this up close and personal. Mara, thank you very much for joining us today on Descent into Hell, Life of the Chinese under the Chinese Communist Party.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. I have my portrait of His Holiness Dalai Lama ready, who is the spiritual and the political leader of the Tibetan people, who has for 60 years been living in exile in northern India. And we must thank the Indian government for the security and protection that they provide to His Holiness Dalai Lama to this day.
Mara, I want to ask you a question about elites. You come from, you were raised and come from the elites in Washington, D.C. and New York City, and through your marriage and your family and all the people you knew. You have a storied background in culture and art and all that. This is what I'm missing. How have the elites in our country that are looking under for every fault of the West, in every small thing, how have they stood in solidarity with the Chinese Communist Party as it brutalizes the Dalai Lama and the Tibetan Buddhists, the Uyghurs, the House Christians, the Catholic Church, the Falun Gong, the Tiananmen Square Freedom Movement, the labor movement, the socialists, the gay movement where they torture them over there, every aspect of society. The Chinese Communist Party not just represses, they put them in prison, they kill them, they do live organ harvesting, the worst atrocities known to man. How do the elites in the West continue to support this and get away with it?
Well, that's the operative question, isn't it? Because for years, what we've been saying is, how much more evidence do you need that this is a regime that violates every international law that is inscribed in the United Nations, who's taking over the United Nations, who has outraged the conscience of mankind, and they can't say that they didn't know. They can't say that evidence has not been presented, because it most certainly has. When the Dalai Lama first took flight in 1959 to India, a group of Indian Gandhian jurists collected information from Tibetan refugees, and they took it to the International Commission of Jurists in Geneva, and they verified genocide in Tibet. That was 60 years ago. And over the years, we have presented evidence in the Tibet movement. I just found these posters from the 2008 Olympics, where we had a global uprising against the CCP torch rally. Remember, they had a torch rally going around the world. The only country that ever did that was Nazi Germany when they had the Olympics in 1934. And, here's some more evidence of how Tibetans get tortured and how they put electric cattle prods in people's mouths, and how, children being beaten to death for the crime of having a plastic Dalai Lama image around your neck. These are our good, trusted global partners. Well, we're now finding out with the CCP virus, the way they've covered it up, the way they've lied, the way they allowed it to spread, and the way they now have a disinformation campaign going with those very same elites who turned a blind eye to evidence of torture that was presented over many, many decades. We're just finding out which side they're really on. Graham Allison of Harvard just published the most appalling interview in Global Times, which is run by the CCP, by Rai, saying, oh, let's not play a game, babe. It's silly right now. The Committee of 100 and the Asia Society just published a letter on Wednesday that I found morally repugnant. Morally repugnant. Because it was saying, oh, well, maybe China made a few mistakes up front, but this pandemic's everyone's problem and we're all in it together. This is no time for tariffs. This is no time for being tough. They're clearly working for the CCP. I guess they all got bought out. I guess they forgot about the Holocaust. I guess they forgot why the United Nations was created in the first place. Everyone said never again about genocides. Well, it's happening right in front of us, and it has for years. As Kyle just said, the concentration camp system in Xinjiang that has the Uyghur people incarcerated, well, that has been verified. There's photographs, aerial photographs of the concentration camp system, the same in Tibet. Tibet has always been the torture laboratory for the People's Liberation Army and the CCP. But where's the outrage?
Mara, we've got to jump here, but I just have a question. What are the one or two actions that you think have to be taken today to hold people accountable and to turn this around?
Well, first and foremost, be aware of Chinese propaganda. Try to identify it. It's not that hard to do. Write letters to the New York Times, to the Washington Post, to MSNBC, to CNN. These institutions have enormous power in our society, as we know. Express your displeasure that they print advertising from the genocidal dictatorship, the People's Republic of China, which has infected the entire world. Call them out on their reporting. Write to Professor Graham Allison at Harvard. Write to the Asia Society. Express your displeasure. It's a little harder to get through to Papa Xi and the boys in Beijing. But we can go after their running dogs and their collaborators in the West, which is what we've been doing in the Tibet movement for many years.
Mara, how do people get access to your writings and to the students of Free Tibet and the groups that you work with?
You can find students for Free Tibet very easily online. My website is Maura Moynihan 1957. I believe it's posted on War Room. And thank you, Steve, and your team for doing this. You've been out ahead of mainstream media from day one when the pandemic became known in January. And it's not over. And I predict it's going to get worse. In fact, we know in the Tibet movement that the Chi-Coms, when they threaten you, they mean business. They've declared war on the world. And I am afraid they're going to have a military strike fairly soon in Asia to try to draw the West into a military conflict while we're overwhelmed with the virus. So people, get ready and write those letters, emails too. Petitions don't work. My father said senators ignore petitions, but they do read letters.
Mara, thank you very much for joining us. We'll get all your material up on our site. Mara Moynihan, a fire breather like her father, Daniel Patrick Moynihan. Okay, we're going to return in a minute with Curtis Ellis to wrap this up. Descent into Hell. Be back in a moment.
Stay tuned to get a free pan from Granite Stone. Stuck on eggs, burnt on batter. You can scrub and scrape, but you can't escape the nightmare of your sticky pans. Introducing the Granite Stone Pan, the all-new durable non-stick pan. No butter or oil needed. Watch, we melted down these sticky candies in Granite Stone, and it just doesn't stick. We cooked a half a dozen eggs, bacon, cheese, and tomato breakfast with no butter or oil, and it just doesn't stick. Look, caramels, chocolate, and cheese. Unreal for any other pan, but not for Granite Stone. It just doesn't stick. Granite Stone will be the last pan you'll ever need because it's pressed cast from a solid aluminum disc for even heat conduction. Then coated 3 times with our durable granite stone finish. Granite stone is metal utensil safe and won't scratch. And talk about non-stick. This salmon cooked skin side down with no added butter or oil just doesn't stick. This steak is perfectly seared, just like the pros. And because granite stone is oven rated to 500 degrees, we bake this upside down pan pizza to perfection, and it just doesn't stick. Fire Flambe Delicious Cherries Jubilee. Plus, it's PFOA free and 100% dishwasher safe. Call or go online to get your granite stone pan for the special TV discount price of just $19.99. Granite stone is so durable it comes with a 10-year warranty. And with every order, you're going to get a granite stone single-serve egg pan absolutely free. It's the perfect size for personalized eggs, omelets, or frittatas that slide right out. It makes the best bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich quick. Yours absolutely free. We'll even ship your entire order free. That's right, free shipping. You get it all, an incredible value. Here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-850-0237. That's 1-800-850-0237, or order online at buygranitestone.com. That's 1-800-850-0237. Call now.
In times like these, we all need help navigating the unknown. America's Voice News is here to help bring you and your family hope. Dr. Tim Clinton has assembled top experts to help you navigate the difficult issue we are all facing.
Hi everyone, Dr. Tim Clinton. This weekend we're making available a free resource. We have actually put together a compilation issue of the flagship publication called Christian Counseling Today.
Hope in times of crisis. America's Voice News is here to keep you and your family safe and healthy. Text HOPE to 888-111 and receive helpful tips on how to stay healthy during the crisis. Text HOPE to 888-111.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back to War and Pandemic. This is our special on Holy Saturday, the 11th of April, the year of our Lord 2020, as Descent into Hell, Life of the Chinese People under the Chinese Communist Party. You know, Maura Monahan is not fired up enough.
No,
it's too low key. We got to talk to the producer next time. We got to learn how to fire her up.
It was interesting that she talked about the saber rattling that could potentially come from the Chinese Communist Party, because actually this morning in the Global Times, they publicized the fact that they've been running these air sorties right along the coast with Taiwan. And they actually have a guy, Song Xiamping, a mainland military expert and TV commentator, clearly CCP. And he says that basically that, they're preparing for a future fight with Taiwan. And largely they're saying it's because Taiwan has been criticizing them over the SARS-2 virus, CCP virus, and the World Health Organization. But
they're doing this, by the way. And when you see it in the Global Times, it's a signal. Okay, something's happening. The Free Republic, the Republic of China, the Free People of Taiwan have done the best job in the world on this virus. And they went to the World Health Organization on the 31st of December, New Year's Eve of 2019, and told Tedros and this group of incompetents at the World Health Organization that there was human-to-human transmission in Wuhan. If it had been dealt with at that time, if we had followed the Free Chinese in Taiwan, if we had followed their advice, there would have never been a Wuhan. There would never been an Hubei. This thing, you would not, this weekend, you would be out enjoying this beautiful day. And tomorrow morning, you would be in church with all your colleagues, or you would be at a Passover dinner, right, with your family, right? Or you'd be worshiping as you see to worship and going out and enjoying the fruits of your labor. All of that is gone. And it's all gone because of the Chinese Communist Party. But also, we're not going to chase the shiny object here. You have the signal and the noise. The World Health Organization's noise. That's what we're recommending, that Dr. Ben Carson immediately has to become the head of the World Health Organization. Dr. Ben Carson, a brilliant brain surgeon and one of the greatest stories about America ever. how this guy came from nowhere, came from a public housing project. That's why he volunteered to come back and run HUD, okay, to do for others as he had help in his life. You know, Dr. Ben Carson is a good man. Dr. Ben Carson is a great man. And Dr. Ben Carson, if we put another penny into the World Health Organization, it's got to come attached to Dr. Ben Carson as the head of it. Tedros has got to go. He's a disgrace. There's blood on his hands. And the gall of that guy, after President Trump brings this up, the gall of him to say there's going to be more body bags if you keep talking and to throw the race card. No, sir. It has nothing to do with your race. It has everything to do with your incompetence, and you're a running dog of the Chinese Communist Party. And I know, sir, that we're going to find out you took money and you kowtowed to the Chinese Communist Party. Okay? Tedros, it's all coming out. It's all going to come out for all you guys that shelter the Chinese Communist Party. It's all coming out. It's all going to come out. Just remember, I want every night you go to bed, remember, it's all coming out. And you're all going to be held accountable, because you're all responsible. The American elites, the financial elites, Kissinger, this entire crowd, the Asia Society, Dr. Graham Allison, it's all coming out. You're all running dogs. I want to bring in now Curtis Ellis. Curtis, you've got kind of a message of hope. You're one of the biggest hammers of the CCP about how they've stolen American jobs, stolen American factories, in business, in bed with the corporatist and the globalist and the financial elites of this country. But you've got actually a message of hope here for us today as we close the show.
Yeah, the message of hope is that the American people are in solidarity with the Chinese people. The American people understand the evil nature of the Chinese Communist Party. You can look at the Harris poll. The Harris poll shows 77%, up to 91% of the American people think President Xi is untrustworthy. He cannot be trusted. You see the question they asked, a company promises to relocate their manufacturing away from China back to the United States. This is approved by 86% of the American people across the board. Every group, every demographic, every age group, up to 91% are saying it's time to get out of China. We cannot be empowering this. Now, our own polling, our internal polling at America First, confirms this. People blame China for the pandemic, for our problems, and they believe they trust President Trump's leadership in standing up to China. Now, it's very interesting. You talk about the running dogs and the propagandists, the useful idiots in the American media that are apologizing for China. You see the New York Times slamming the latest Trump campaign ad as xenophobic and playing on these, they're using the racism card and the xenophobia card. This is not going to work. This is not going to work. Look, Howard Margolis, University of Chicago professor, has written about and shown, and there's numerous other studies, that people make their judgments on a pre-conscious level, an intuitive level. And when you start talking about health and grandma's going to die and you can't go out, you cannot worship the God of your fathers, this is touching a deep emotional level that is how people make their decisions. And you can have all the spin you want from the New York Times, the Washington Post, the corporate mouthpieces on major media. That is not going to make a dent. People have already made up their minds. China must change. The Chinese Communist Party is evil. It's wrong. It has destroyed our way of life. It has brought our way of life to a stop. Literally. People understand that now. You know, I was writing about the World Health Organization back in January. I've been talking about these issues for decades. People now understand it. They get it on a gut level. It's pre-rational. It's pre-conscious. And you can't change that thinking. You can't change their mind now. There is no going back. I just want to say one other thing on this Holy Week here. Look, this is also Passover. And there is an interpretation of the Passover story. The Midrash, the great scholars and the Kabbalists have interpreted the plagues were as much to convince the children of Israel that it was time to get out of Egypt as much as it was to convince Pharaoh to let our people go. And this plague has convinced Americans it's time to get out of China.
Curtis, thank you so much. A powerful way to end. I want to thank everybody, particularly G News and GTV. I'll put it up in Mandarin later today for this. See you on Monday.
Hello, and welcome to the biggest auto protection show on earth, brought to you by CarShield. I'm your host, Chris Berman. If your car is out of warranty or close to expiring, CarShield makes sure you don't have to pay for expensive auto repairs. That's why I'm a customer. Let's catch up with the action, where happy customers have saved thousands on car repairs.
The first 3 months, we saved $4,100.
CarShield saved me over $6,000 in engine repairs.
Those repair bills never had a chance. Look at those Hall of Fame dance moves. Saving money on expensive car repairs with CarShield will do that to you.
It's like having a suit of armor around my car.
I never have to worry about being taken advantage of when it comes to car repairs.
We're just happy with CarShield. They put a transmission in it and a motor. Who does that?
When your car's check engine light comes on, that could spell big trouble for you and your wallet. An engine, transmission, or computer system breakdown could cost you thousands of dollars. But with CarShield, you'll never pay on covered repairs. CarShield covers practically all makes and all models, new or used.
When it comes to protecting you from expensive repairs, there's a new sheriff in town. CarShield is rumbling and tumbling all over that repair bill. Goodbye expensive car repairs and hello savings. This guy just scored the CarShield hat trick. That's towing, roadside assistance, and rental coverage at no extra cost. That's what I call MVP protection. Don't get stuck paying for those expensive repairs. Call CarShield and tell them the Swami sent you.
Now it's the time to make the smart choice and protect yourself from sky-high auto repair bills. Call now for a free and instant protection plan quote. It's only a matter of time until repairs are needed. And once your car breaks down, it's too late. Call 800-580-0514, 800-580-0514.
Welcome to Drive Across America, brought to you by CarShield. I'm your host, Chris Berman. CarShield makes